Hello, friends. So, today I want to talk about a classic film that is very heartfelt, really touched me when I watched it as a very young girl. I decided to watch it again recently, and since there are two adaptations of this film, I wanted to compare them to see which one I liked more. So the movie is Imitation of Life. It is based on a 1933 novel by Fannie Hurst. The first film was made in 1934 and the remake was done in 1959. Now, for the 1934 film, it was starring the beautiful Claudette Colbert, which I really just recently fell in love with her, like as far as an actress. Watching her in this film, I just was like, she is so beautiful, so classy. I just really like her. So it was starring Claudette Colbert, Louise Beavers, who did an amazing job, Freddie Washington, a very beautiful woman who I will do a video about her, but she was a colored actress who actually in real life could pass for white, and even though she never wanted to pass for white, which is what kind of gave the first film an advantage for me over the remake, because that alone, the very point of the movie is that you have a young colored woman who could pass for white. She wants to pass for white, but yet she is not. And in real life, Freddie Washington could pass for white. But the actress from the 1959 film was actually not a colored woman. Well, she was not African American or black. She was basically Jewish mixed with Mexican. And so, although I do look at her as being of color, the actress Freddie Washington was literally exactly what the character in Imitation of Life was supposed to be. Both movies are very similar. They're both starring women who, well, both of the stories are about women who are single. There's a single white mother with a little girl who is struggling, and she meets a black woman who also has a daughter, but her daughter is very light skinned. She's supposed to be African American, but she can get away with passing as white. Both daughters kind of resent their mothers because if it wasn't for their mothers, they could pass, but it seems like that at every turn their mother shows up and embarrasses them, whether it's coming to the school, to the class, and all their classmates and teachers thought they were white until the mother like shows up to bring a coat and an umbrella. Then as she gets older, maybe she comes to a job where she was passing for white, and then she, gets all embarrassed and upset because now she's exposed. But all the while, both films have like the sweetest women playing the mother. They're very sweet, very kind, very loving, and I just feel like they constantly try to get through to their daughters, like to accept who they are and not to try to pass for white, because it's like the mothers are trying to warn them that trying to pass will only cause trouble and cause more hardship in their life. So like the sooner they can just accept that they are a woman of color, the better off they will be. And both mothers wants their daughters to just more or less go to college, and become a school teacher or become something, and live a nice life. And both daughters are just so like, I feel like in both films, the daughters are just so torn about their race, And in the first movie, her name is Paola, and the mother's name is Delilah. In the second movie, the daughter's name is Sarah Jane, and her mother is Annie. So, some other differences are in the first film, the characters are Beatrice or B. Like I said, the mama is Delilah, the daughter is Paola. The love interest of the mother is Stephen, and her own daughter's name is Jessie. In the second film, the woman is Laura, the mama is Annie, and then the daughter, like I said, is Sarah Jane, and the white woman's daughter is Susie, and the love interest of the mother again is, his name is Steve, and that comes into play later because for some reason in both films, well, I'm not saying for some reason, but something that I found interesting is in both films, the teenage daughter of B and Laura, the teenage daughter, she falls in love with her mother's boyfriend. Like I said, both times his name is like Steve, and he didn't do anything in either film. Did he do anything inappropriate or to make the daughter fall in love with him? It's more like a schoolgirl crush, and it's just like the mother is busy working and the daughter falls in love, and it's just kind of, it's innocent. But in the first film, the mother is willing to break off her engagement and not even marry him because she doesn't want it to come between her and her daughter. And in the second film, the mother is basically doing the same thing. She just loves her daughter so much that she would rather break up, but the daughter is like, don't be a martyr for me, don't do that, I'll get over him. Now, that's just another thing that goes on during the movie. But back to the main story at hand is that, like I said, the daughter in both movies who has the colored mother, and she's colored, she really struggles with the fact that she can pass for white. And in both films, she really desires to be white to the point of hurting her mother over and over, hurting her mother's feelings, being harsh with her mother, being ashamed and embarrassed of her mother. But I do feel that the daughter really deep within loves her mother. She's just torn and wants to live a better life than she feels she can live as a colored woman. She also feels very jealous of, her friend, because they all live together. Because at the beginning of each movie, the mother decides to be the maid or the housekeeper for the white lady in exchange for room and board for her and her child. And basically, the white lady in both films, even though she doesn't have a lot herself, she takes in the woman and her child. So they're basically like these two single mothers who are trying to make it. And what happens is in each film, good things happen and they end up becoming wealthy. So in the 1934 version, they end up having a pancake house, and basically Laura in the second film is an actress. She wants to be an actress, and she's doing modeling, so she finally makes it big in Hollywood. But in the first film, Delilah has a secret pancake recipe, and B, the woman, she's actually peddling like pancake syrup or something like that. So they come together and end up having a very successful pancake business, which is very reminiscent of Aunt Jemima's pancakes and stuff. But they basically use Delilah's face and likeness and her recipe, and they get really rich off of it. Even though Delilah is just so she's such a typical, stereotypical mammy woman. You know, she's warm and loving and genuine, but she doesn't even really want to become rich. It's like when she's offered money and riches for her pancake recipe, it's like no, she still just rather live with B and continue to like be her housekeeper, her maid. But really something that stood out to me in both films, once again, is the white woman in both films, whether it's B or Laura, they truly are so sweet. I don't get a racist feeling from either woman. It's like they don't have a racist bone in their body. Seriously, the role that Claudette Colbert plays, she's so sweet and so genuine, and the way that she just looks at Delilah and she offers her so much, but I do understand too that the times they're in, they're a product of their times, and so they kind of just both stayed in their roles somewhat, but in both cases, the housekeeper, which is Delilah and Annie, they are probably better off than a lot of other colored women during that time, because they both live with a woman who, even though they're like the housekeeper, the woman considers them a friend and treats them very well, and just never shows like any racism or harshness towards them really at all. And their daughters are very sweet. So the white daughter in both films are very kind. It's like they really want to be friends with the colored girl because they basically grow up together and their mothers are very good friends. So even though they can't understand what it's like to be mixed race or what it's like to look white but you're not white, you know, they're very kind. They never again really say or do anything racist. It's like the mother and daughter, the white mother and daughter in the film, they are just really sweet and really genuine, and that's what I actually got out of it. And the daughter, who is colored but can pass for white, is very like almost angry, maybe upset because she can never have like what her white friend has, the life she has. And there's just things, and I really can understand how she feels as well. The only thing that's so hard to watch is just how harsh that the character is with the mother, when the mother is so sweet and just stops at nothing to keep pursuing her daughter whenever she runs off or tries to deny her or reject her or doesn't show her love. There's even times where the white woman has to kind of get on her and say like, don't talk to your mother like that, don't treat her like that, because it is very hurtful to see, you know, just how mean she's being. And I always thought that in the 1959 version that daughter, Sarah Jane, she came off a lot more harsh, a lot more cold, a lot more angry, you know, all of those things. But one thing is, just when I thought, oh, the 1934 version is better, because like I said, I decided to re-watch both recently and to see how I felt about it now as a grown, seasoned woman and even as a mother. I was crying. I already know what's going to happen, and it just affected me and was touching me. So the 1934 version, I was just blown away at how wonderfully done it was. I was crying. I was emotional. I just, I just had so many emotions. Like, watching the movie just made me feel so much compassion for the mothers who have the daughter who can pass. And when it gets to the funeral scenes, oh my goodness, like, everybody knows that's like the famous scene at the end where, after rejecting their mother so much and not wanting to associate with her because they want to, run off and go past for white, and really just mistreating their mothers. In a lot of ways, they were mistreating them. But even though you have some compassion for Paola and Sarah Jane, because you realize that they just don't want to live that hard life and they're so torn because they can pass, when it comes down to it and they find out that their beloved mother has passed away, I mean, they both come back to the funeral and they are so hurt, so sad, and so just torn up about it. And you really see that raw emotion. You know what's going to happen. Well, at least I know what's going to happen. And both movies, I'm just crying my eyes out at the ending, at the funeral scenes. It's like, it's something about the way that when they come back, they're apologizing to their mother and they're telling them how much they love them. But guess what? It's too late. And too often that happens to many people in families where they cut the other person off, or maybe they reject that person, or they think they have a lot of time left. Maybe they'll talk to them later or make amends later. And in both movies, it's just too late for the young ladies who want to go past for white. But one thing is for certain, their mothers love them no matter what. Both Delilah and Annie really loved their daughters so much, and they understood them no matter what. And I believe that they didn't die upset because they both made sure that they talked to their daughters before they died. And I believe they made peace with it in their heart because, as a colored woman, they understood why their child was doing what they were doing. They just wanted them to live a good life and not be hurt. And I believe the daughters, Paola and Sarah Jane, really loved their mothers. And once their mother died and passed away, they did come back and pay their respects. They were very regretful, and it showed that they truly, truly loved their mama. And it was just unfortunate that it was too late to apologize. So, all in all, I will say that the movies are a tie for me, but if I had to absolutely pick one to be more my favorite, this is really, really hard. I mean, really hard, but I guess I will go with the 1934 version. Plus, I'm just such an old soul, and I'm going with the most vintage version, the oldest version of the movie, which was made at the time that the novel came out and was made, which was in 1933, and then the movie came out just a year later in 1934. So it was also more in the time frame of the novel. I also said I was partial to the actress Freddie Washington playing who the movie was mainly about. She just did a wonderful job, and it was so believable, her and the mother. So let me know what you think in the comments below, if you've seen both movies and which one you like more. And until next time, remember, do more of what makes you happy. Love you. And thanks so much for watching.